Hey, this is Jeremy Burgess, the Detroit Market Expert, and welcome to another episode of Detroit Investor TV. And in this episode, I'm going to be discussing a recent news article here. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in. Detroit squatters can keep homes. Occupants of thousands of Motor City homes that didn't sell at tax auction can purchase their abodes for $500. That includes squatters, renters, and owners who didn't pay taxes. And for those of you who might not know, this is from Wayne County, which is where the city of Detroit is located. And actually, I want to put a shout out to Rachel. Thank her for sending me this article because, somehow I missed it. But it's not often you're going to catch me on MSN Money in my defense. But anyway, this is a really complicated issue. I'm ambivalent in how I feel about it. But I thought I would just, go ahead and discuss it. So what we have here is a situation where if you don't pay your property taxes for 2 years, Wayne County will actually foreclose on you and then auction off your property. How that works is there's two auctions. The first auction is for all the back taxes owed. And the second auction it starts at $500. I went and double checked my numbers. Last year, the tax auction was 17,000 houses in the city of Detroit, and less than half of them sold at the tax auction. And they're projecting this year an additional 10,000, so they're looking at somewhere in the $27,000 to $30,000 range. Why is this happening? Well, first off, most of Detroit is unworthy of investment. And when I say that, I don't mean that nobody should invest there. Most of the people who watch this are like me, mom and pop investors. You don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got thousands and you're looking for a place to put it and get a good return. Most of those areas are unworthy of investment because they do not have the inherent value in the property that makes it worth paying the taxes, going through the trouble to sell them on land contract or rent them out, or pretty much doing anything with it. And a lot of it, the area might be good, but if enough houses go bad, I'll give you a great example. A house, even in a marginal area that, I may consider for my own personal portfolio, not for you guys, that needs very little work, that I might be able to pick up for, pretty cheap. That same house, they might want to give me and I won't take it because it needs 20 grand in work. And that neighborhood only supports 10 grand. That doesn't make any sense. Why is this important? Because the state assigns a value to these homes to collect taxes. So yeah, you can see it gets a little complicated here. That's why it's not all one-sided. And obviously the state is hurting for money. So while I have noticed my property taxes dropping over the last 10 years, it's not enough. The state was very quick to raise taxes when property values were going up, but very slow and reluctant and hesitant to drop property taxes. They're also very inconsistent in how they apply it. They're not very good about going back and checking it. And if you do have a disagreement about your property's value, there is a process. You go through that first with the city of Detroit, then actually with the state of Michigan. And it's a lengthy, arduous process that nobody enjoys, and quite frankly, most people have to work and they have jobs and everything else like that, and it's very unpleasant. So what this article is addressing, and it's a little bit of an uproar, is that Wayne County says, I don't care if you own the house currently and you haven't paid the taxes. I don't care if you're squatting in the house. I don't care if you're renting the house. We had 9,000 houses that didn't sell in the tax auction. We want to get some money in for that. We know there's a problem. However, we're mandated to do it this way, and they are mandated to go through this process. I'm not saying we shouldn't change this process, but it's not something Wayne County decides. It has to be decided at The state level funding issues have to be decided, and it has to be decided by the voters. But some money is better than none, and if you're living in the house, they would rather turn that house into an asset. As an investor who pays my property taxes, obviously I don't like that. As a homeowner in the state of Detroit, that does kind of rub me the wrong way. I'm paying for services. I'm paying property taxes that are too high, quite frankly, for the value of the home. Not that it's a bad investment. Obviously, I'm not going to buy something that's a bad investment. But the reality is the property taxes on these houses is way too high considering what the home's actually worth in the market. Sometimes double. They're pretending this value is double. So as an investor, as a homeowner, that rubs me the wrong way. However, I am pragmatic. Unlike most of you, I actually live in the state of Detroit. So I get to see all the good and all the bad that happens here. From a practical, pragmatic point of view, I see a lot of value in this. Like, what? No, I do. I see a lot of value in this. Generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, ownership is always better for a community. Because ownership means somebody's a lot more likely to take care of it. And yes, it's not fair to those who did pay their property taxes and will continue doing so. And they will give more than their fair share. And yes, there will be people who abuse this system. But I'm not sure, while morally I might be against it, but at the same time they are following the rules. There's nothing illegal about it. Home ownership is good. Ownership of any kind is good, where they have a vested interest. And if they own that property, maybe they'll take care of it better. In fact, they probably will take care of it better. When they start taking care of the property, that's where community starts to pull back together. So, I know both sides of it. Obviously, it rubs me the wrong way. And as a resident in the city of Detroit, I do see value in this. The criticism is, as far as Wayne County goes, though, and believe me, I am no huge fan of most of our current elected leadership in Wayne County. However, it's not Wayne County who decides how to get rid of these properties. There's two kinds of states. There's tax lien states and tax deed states. State of Michigan is a tax deed state. All that means is they actually auction off the property instead of putting a lien against the property and auctioning off that lien. That's the only difference between a tax deed and a tax lien state. They are mandated by the state, the process they have to go through. So you may have a million different ideas on how they should do it and how they could do it better. By all means, go ahead and write your reps, state reps. Let them know how you feel. If you have ideas, share it with them. But it's not like Wayne County likes this process. It's actually very bad for Wayne County, because here's how it works. State assesses taxes. City of Detroit collects taxes. When you don't pay your taxes, you get fined. When you don't pay it by a certain time, the city of Detroit kicks back those taxes to Wayne County. Wayne County pays those taxes to the city so it can continue to operate and have the funds, plus the late fees. Then additional late fees are added on. And now you owe Wayne County the money. And if you don't pay Wayne County, they auction us off. You see the problem here. So maybe if you have $2,500 a year, you have $5,000 in back taxes, add an additional $2,000 in late fees and everything else, you're at $7,000. Wayne County wrote a check to the city of Detroit for most of that money, and now they have to collect it. Obviously, in most cases, they're not going to collect that back. Except for the areas I invest, definitely snatch those up. But we're talking about the majority of the city, 80% of the city. They're not going to get that back. So that means that after they've done everything, there's going to be a budget shortfall. They now have to go get a bond and or run a deficit, borrow the money, pay interest on the money. So they have to do something with the house, and they're mandated by the house that they do it in this process, in this tax deed state. So, I'm not saying I like it, but one thing I noticed about, our reps, and my rep, Tupac Hunter, is an absolute ass clown. I'm just going to say it on record. He's come out with multiple articles on this and everything like that, and I've torn him apart before. It's obvious he has no idea how this process works, and I'm not happy with it. But the real problem is the pretend value that the state is assigning, because their interest is getting as much property tax as possible. They're hurting. If they go through and they assign the real property tax value to these houses, they will be taking enormous cuts in revenue. They don't want that. They're going to fight you on that. And whatever you guys say about the people in Detroit, they're not stupid. State tells you a house is worth $70,000 and you know it's worth $35,000. You know how you know? Because everybody freaking around you, you see them selling, you know what they're selling for, you see people buying. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this shit out. You don't. It's an asinine. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the article below this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the description box. Go ahead and take a look at it yourself. But I just wanted to put out my thoughts and feelings from an investor point of view, from a homeowner point of view, from a practical and pragmatic point of view, and then just point out that I'm not saying the system doesn't need to change. It probably does. But let's place the blame and the cause for it where it needs to be, and it needs to be addressed at the state level and how they assign value, and also how counties are disposing of property, because that's not decided at the county level. Anyway, appreciate your attention. Thanks for watching. It's Jeremy Burgess, Detroit Market Expert, and thanks for watching another episode of Detroit Investor TV. Catch you guys next week.